and we're on 12 minutes and 18 seconds. And we're here for qualifying for this race then. Should be a very interesting one. Obviously last time out we had our champion crowned, Mental Sun, currently in 12th, beat out Flobberlob behind him in 13th. That was for the championship win back in Australia. We're here for the final round of the season in Miami. The drivers only knew about the track, 6 hours ago? So they've only had 6 hours to practice for this race. So it should be an enticing one. Let's get our lap data and our track map up as well. And we'll see let's see Bernald's. Oh, Bernald's without a front nose cone. Really odd. Also, I do have to stress that for the formation lap and the start of the race, it's going to spawn me in as a car because I joined the session late due to the game being silly. So, yeah, that's fun. I'm going to get my Google Chrome up, get the Discord. But yeah, this should be a good one then. Obviously, we had a very interesting Australian Grand Prix with many incidents and many just odd moments and changeable conditions. The race was flipping on its head when 1 minute we were looking at, as Bernald's is off, but Bernald's, who had a very strong weekend in Australia before his unfortunate DNF near the end of the race, but in changing conditions, the race, the moment you thought there was going to be someone on top, someone else would shoot up. Obviously Mike Talent was very competitive in his outing, but he's not here today, so we should have a bit of a closer grid. Obviously, we have the champion in the Pink Panther V-car of Mental Sun, who, when he was driving in a white and yellow car, he is the champion, but he's now in pink again. I think he was in pink for the first race of the season in Brazil. No, he wasn't. I'm thinking of someone else from PRL. As behind him is Arimas, who looks like he's gone back to white for the first time since Sao Paulo. So that's very nice for him. So a couple special liveries for the final outing here in Slav Racing League. Obviously we have the Ferrari, which I think we've always seen in that Niki Lauda tribute livery. We have Derek Quay in the standard McLaren. We have Bernald with the no front wing nose cone design, which is very odd, and for those who don't know, that is a glitch in the game. That isn't actually what Bernald's car looks like. Anyway, we have the Williams in its normal colours. We have the McLaren, both McLarens in their normal colours as well. The Lando Norris livery, or the Lando Norris helmet for G-Shifty, looks like he's joined in late. So, yeah, let's see who goes to the top of the table. We have Mental Sun 2 seconds up the order ahead of Derek Quay, so the champion really setting the gauntlet down early on in the session. Here with 9 minutes to go. 9 minute 56 now. There's a bit of a loose moment there for Silent Assassin, who nearly goes into the wall and does just clip the wall on the exit of turn. Is that turn 14, I want to say that is, or turn 15 potentially. Heading now down as someone's just gone up the order. That is Derek Quay, who's just gone right up the order. It's not letting me go up the order. Now it is. As Derek Quay, look at that. Nice lap by him. I think also Raikkonen shot up the order, as well as Lewis. As we now wait to see if Silent Assassin's out of the session. I didn't even realise we cut away from him. Silent Assassin has retired from the session. That is such a shame. As we have, heading through the chicane, then we have, who else is on our lap then? We have K9 Cube just on his out lap at the moment. We have no front wing on Raikkonen. It looks like he's had a bit of an off somewhere after his lap. We have Lewis 9K with a 1 minute 29.6. The Miami Grand Prix brought to you today, the broadcast anyway, is brought to you today by MPCC, the newest boxing company run by the two youngest entrepreneurs of boxing. And they are the ones bringing you the broadcast today here in Slav Talk for the finale. We have G-Shifty heading out of the last few corners, and it looks like he's going to finish his lap and go up to P2, ahead of his teammate Derek Quay by half a second, but a whole second away from Mental Sons, and McLaren's not able to get anywhere near the Pink Panther, who became champion just last week. We have Mr. Towers, who's about to start a lap, so let's go on board with him for the start of his lap and let's see what he does. So he heads into turn 1, and he's had a pretty decent set of corners to open the lap up. He's currently in P4, but he's looking for at least a second to jump both McLarens to help the Haas team out. As Demonic Assassin goes 8 tenths off the pole time. He's in P2 ahead of both McLarens. He's ahead of Graham Shifty by 2 tenths, but Demonic Assassin, who had a great qualifying in Australia, had a pretty bad start and then DNF'd 5 corners into the race on lap 1. Mr. Towers, who crashed at the second corner of the season in Brazil, in the first race of the season at Brazil, he crashed on the second corner, but he's been quite up and down. Someone else who's been quite up and down, or more up rather, is Flobberlob, who's been up in the order, but he's also, like in Brazil, he went to the back of the pack on a different strategy, but his pit strategy is being completely different to everyone else in the races. He is normally one to watch just to see how his strategy plays out compared to the others, as it is normally very entertaining to see him just hang on to some of these strategies or perform miracles with the odd pit strategies that he does, like for example in Austria in round 3 or 4 I believe it was, where he was the only driver to pit once in the race and go the entire distance. He won that race by 4 tenths of a second after all those laps of racing around the A1 ring. We've just had Bryce go up the order and go that gap 3 tenths of a second, separating Bryce from Derek Quay, and then 2 tenths separating Mr. Tower from Derek Quay as well, but in the opposite direction. Here's K9 Cube then, heading around turn 5. He's going round quite well. Is he going to be able to set any type of gauntlet in the session? The Salbers being one of the stronger midfield teams, as both drivers able to work with each other. They're on very similar pace, as you can see, as Luke Anarchy only a mere 18 thousandths but behind his teammate K9 Cube, who you are watching now. Heading through the chicane, we have Benold on a lap as well. Let's see what he's doing. He's 4 tenths up on his lap so far, still with that broken nose cone. But heading over the line, he breaks into the top 6 and sets a 1 minute 27.477. He goes behind Bryce and separates the McLarens even further. Meanwhile, back to K9 Cube, heading into the final few corners, heavy on the brakes, around the hairpin, and then accelerating out around the S's. And he's heading into the pits. He's not happy with that lap, so it doesn't look like it was going to be an improvement for K9 Cube. What about Arimus then? He looks like he's on a lap. Let's see what he can do. Heading through the S's and over the line. He goes to P2 and 2 tenths away from the pole time. Very good by Arimus. So he's 0.241 off the pole time of Mental Sun. So the Pink Panther Racing Bulls ahead of the White Red Bull of Arimus. Both. We have 1 minute and 40 seconds left here in Slav Tour Racing qualifying, and you're watching the broadcast brought to you today by MPCC, the boxing promotion in the southwest of the UK. They are bringing you, for one broadcast only, they are bringing you the action today. So let's see what we are in for. We have a couple thousand separating Flobberlob from Arimus. So that the top 3 today looking very close. Also that midfield pack, P5 down to P 9. That is also looking like a very nice battle indeed. We have Demonic Assassin somewhere in between. Let's watch Derek Way then on his lap, and let's see what he can do in this session. We have heading out rounds into the assist section, and he's going pretty nicely through, just trying to keep the momentum while not scrubbing off the speed, and also while taking the shortest line possible around this track. We have, so he's a 10th up on his lap so far is Derek Way. That would put him just ahead of Benold potentially, but he needs a little bit more time to get ahead of Bryce and make that a McLaren 5.6. And it would be, provisionally, an all-McLaren third row, but the orange cars, who did very well in the real-life Japanese Grand Prix that happened a mere 12 hours ago, but now they're looking to do well here in Slav Talk. Raikkonen ends his session early. Derek Way looks like he's going to cross the line to end his lap earlier than he did on his first time round. So as he heads into the concluding 3 corners on the track, the Papaya car in 8th at the moment. He's got 2 little sweepers to conclude his lap, and then he can see if he goes up the order. He looks to be 4/10 up. He's 5/10 up. He's up ahead of his teammate Graham Shifty by a couple thousandths of a second. 9 thousandths of a second separating Graham Shifty from Derek Way. But what about his teammate, who is improving by over 0.2 of a second, and he goes up ahead of the Alpine of Demonic Assassin and goes a second ahead of Mr. Tower in the Haas. What about Mental Sun? He sets a 1 minute 25.6. That is a monster lap. As also, Mr. Tower goes up the order into P5 as Demonic Assassin goes over the line into P2. Where has that come from? From Demonic Assassin, Bryce up to P6. Here comes Flobbelob, the runner-up, the man looking to stay second in the championship. Goes to second. He goes to the same place that he is in the championship order. And that is the end of qualifying. It's Mental Sun, 0.2 ahead of Flobbelob. The top 2 in the qualifying session are the top 2 in the championship, and it looks to stay like that. So it's your champion, who is your pole sitter for the finale. Then it is this man, the Aston Martin of Flobbelob. And then comes Demonic Assassin, who is 4/10 off pole, but he is 2/10 ahead of Arimus, who did very well in that session, did the Lithuanian. So it's the pole ahead of the 2 Brits, then comes the Lithuanian, then it's an all-American third row of Graham Shifty and Bryce, then comes the German of Mr. Towers, the Brit of Derek Way, then comes the Canadian of Arnold's, and K9 Cube, the Spaniard, in 10th to round out the top 10. That is the end of the session. And there are the incidents. Until the start of the race, to commend the country we're racing in today, the American National Anthem. 4 seconds left on the clock. 4. Sorry, but don't know. I'll do that. Yeah, hopefully that doesn't do as much of an issue. Right, so here we go then. So on the formation lap, let's have a look then through the grid and have a look at this Miami Grand Prix track here in the Hard Rock Stadium, or in and around the Hard Rock Stadium, which is known for the home of the Miami Dolphins in the National Football League, or the NFL for short, the Super Bowl sport. So yeah, we head through the S's here. This is where you need all the downforce and merely confidence in the car. We have all the fans here today in the grandstands watching live, and here where these cars shine when you put the battery on and you go to around 190 miles an hour before you even get to the gondolas and the bridge, where you put the DRS on and go to over 210 kilometers an hour with all 1120 horsepower in this Formula 1 car, in all the Formula 1 cars, as well as there's a Ferrari moving out of the way. I don't want to hit anyone, so go. I'm not racing. I don't know what he's doing there, but we're going to go through him anyway. We head through the chicane. Very tight part of the racetrack where you gotta watch out for the car oversteering or understeering or getting loose over those curves. That Ferrari going very far back in the pack as into the final few corners. Hit the brakes hard, and if you go too late you do go to Mars, as you can see, as yeah, I have my Ferrari teammate here sorting himself out. Can we go into the pits? No, we can't. Alright, so and we both shot by a mile. But yeah, that was the formation lap then. Who will come out on top in Slav Racing League for the final race of this incredible season? We'll find out. 5 lights on, and we're away. And it looks to be a decent start by Raikkonen in the Ferrari, but as they head into turn 1, there's side by side there with Flobberlob and Mental Sun. Flobberlob gets ahead of his rival for the championship back in Australia, and he's saying, no, I need to at least have one more win before the season ends, and he is taking the lead of the race just like he did in Melbourne against Mike Tallons. But heading down the straight and into turn 9, then they all file their way through as Mental Sun here looks to have a run on the 99 Aston Martin in front of him. He looks to the inside, but the Pink Panther stays behind. Brias down the inside, nice move by him. We also have a Sauber, and we have Benold going very wide in the Aston Martin behind him. So very difficult stuff there between the pair of them. But we head through. We have Flobberlop leading the race, his teammate in a bit of bother, looking to stay ahead of the Saubers. We have Silent Assassin getting ahead of Lewis 9K, but not able to get anywhere near a move on Raikkonen. Meanwhile, we head down the straight, we go back up the order, but it was Flobberlop who took the lead ahead of Mental Sun. After starting in second, he ends the first lap of the last race of the season. He ends it in first. Meanwhile, we have Mental Sun looking to take back his lead. K9 Cube in the pits. Has he got damage potentially? He might do. Not too sure what from though. It looked like there was a little bit of yellow flag action at turn 1. But we cut to the leaders at turn 3, but into the pits for K9 Cube. But meanwhile, heading around, Mental Sun, the Polish driver who won his first championship back in Australia. Meanwhile, the Ferrari of Lewis 9K has got ahead of the Red Bull of Silent Assassin. Not too sure as to how. But it looks like through the S's, potentially Silent Assassin making a mistake and losing the car. Meanwhile, here comes Luke Anarchy against Bernolds. This is the battle for P9 between the two lean, mean, green machines, and it is Anarchy who becomes the 9th placed man in the running order ahead of Bernolds, who is the second of the Aston Martins, and is now the last man running in the top 10. Meanwhile, as you can see, a big train of cars, 1 car, 2 car, 3 car, and 4 and 5 flying past our camera shot, as it looks like the White Bull going up against the Papaya machine down the inside for Arimus, the owner of this league for this season, getting ahead of Graham Shifty, someone who he has had many good battles with in the season so far, as Flobberlob takes the fastest lap of the race. Again, on lap 2, transitioning to lap 3. Let's see who can make the best out of this lap, but it looks like Mental Sun is off the pace because look at the train he's starting to form. Meanwhile, Arimus, his teammate, has just got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's not very nice at all. They're heading through the S's and weaving their way away from the Hard Rock Stadium and around the outside of the fake marina, as now down the straight, under the gondolas, and into the next heavy braking zone on the track, the heaviest braking zone on the track at turn 9. No, the second heaviest braking zone behind the one at turn 15. The one at the end of that other long straight that you can see on the minimap where that yellow dot is, that yellow dot being the speed trap. Heading through, 3rd lap in Miami here in Slav, but it's been fun so far. We have the Alpine looking to hold back Graham Shifty. Looks like there isn't any other battles going on at the moment apart from potentially Mr. Tower looking to make a move on the Mercedes, but hard on the brakes. Not able to be late enough to make a move on Bryus. Bryus, the man who was 3rd in the championship, looking to stay there. And he does deserve to be 3rd in the championship. He was in the running for the world championship at one point, battling Flobberlob and Mental Sun, but I think low attendance did cost him a couple of points that he needed for his championship charge. Meanwhile, here comes Bernolds. He's looking to make up for lost ground at the start. He's looking to get back ahead of the Salva of Luke Anarchy in 9th place. But the lean, mean, green machines are battling, and they look very keen to be in P9. But who will be there by the end of this lap? Will it be Anarchy or Bernolds? Let's keep an eye on this battle. Meanwhile, actually no, let's cut to Graham Shifty, because he looks to make a move on the Alpine. But no, he's had to back out. Meanwhile, Anarchy does get passed by the Aston Martin of Bernolds. So both Aston Martins are now both ahead of both Saubers. And now around the squiggly section of Sector 2 into Sector 3 we have Bernolds ahead of Anarchy. Meanwhile, look at this train of cars behind Demonic Assassin, who looks to be a bit off the pace compared to his rivals, is now heading down the straight, round the outside for Graham Shifty. Is he going to make the move? Stick, he does! Great stuff, as Demonic Assassin early on the brakes, earlier than probably I expected, but maybe even Graham Shifty as well, who just hooked it around the outside. Meanwhile, Bryus is now having a go. He gets ahead of Demonic Assassin as well, and it's great stuff by the Mercedes-powered cars to get ahead of the only Renault-powered car in the race. But the Demonic Assassin looks to be falling down the order. Not too sure as to why, because he's on the same tyres as the people who have just passed him, and also on the same tyres as the 2 cars behind him. Everyone in this 5-way battle are on medium tyres, as there's nearly contact between Derek Way and Mr. Tower. Tower having to watch out, and they make contact and they both go in the wall. The 71 has collides with Derek Way for P7. Mental Sun takes the lead again as well. So much just happened in 10 seconds, I can't even comprehend it. As Demonic Assassin looking to get back ahead of the Mercedes, not able to do so. As incredible stuff. But as there's yellow flags, and it looks like a McLaren round again, so it's Derek Way with damage, And now Bernald's getting held up by this. This is going to help Anarchy out as well in the order. As now, Bernald is getting held up a treat. As I've got to sort the recording out, which should be done now. So, lap 5 is Flobbelob back ahead of Mental Sun. That happened while I was sorting the recording out. And, yeah, the Aston Martin back ahead of the Mental Sun, taking the lead for the second time in this race from Mental Sun. Raikkonen gets ahead of Derek Quay, who looks to be pitting for damage after his tangle with Mr. Tower, who is also pitting. Anarchy now up into 7th because of that, and Bernald is now back up to 8th. Redemption for Australia's a penalty for Derek Quay, and Derek Quay out of the session. He calls it a day. Looks like there's too much damage on that McLaren, and looks like he's run out of luck to continue. That means Raikkonen is up into 9th as well. Very good start by Raikkonen, and very fortunate that he's been able to pick off 3 places on K9Q, Mr. Tower, and now the retired Derek Quay. Meanwhile, let's head back through the order because K9Q's just been passed by Mr. Tower, and Mental Sun has just taken the place ahead of the Aston Martin of Flobbelob. And also, look who's joining in on the party. Arimus, out of the blue, is ready to take on Flobbelob and Mental Sun. He's been near the midfield with the Graham Shifties and the Demonic Assassins all season long, but he looks to now maybe join in on the action with Flobbelob and Mental Sun, the championship contenders from this season. As now, let's have a look. The Aston Martin not able to make the move stick heading into the third last corner. Meanwhile, we have side by side between Tower and Cube. K9 Cube gets ahead of the Haas. Meanwhile, here comes the Aston Martin. Is he going to make the place on the Pink Panther? Not at the moment. Graham Shifty now looking to make a defence against Bryce. Bryce now not able to make a move yet, as Mr. Tower is going at it with K9 Cube again. Tower ahead of K9 Cube. This is the battle for P11. Meanwhile, we have the Aston Martin of Flobbelob now heading out of the plastic marina section, and now down the straight. Half a second separating the top 2, and 1 second separating first from third. Probably less than that now, due to the DRS is now heading around the long corner, rounds past the deck, and now into the chicane, under the highway bridge, and onto the run towards Hard Rock Stadium again. As a little clip of the wall there for Flobbelob, and that's going to cost him about half a tenth on the exit, but with DRS, can Flobbelob catch 4/10 of a second? He's closing, he's making the move. Mental Sun defends as Flobbelob locks up a lot. Probably flat spots the tyres, so that's going to hurt his tyre degradation, but Mental Sun gets that back ahead of Flobbelob, doing a Charles Leclerc defence into the third last corner to make a switchback heading up to the line. Lap A, and Mental Sun has kept the lead from from Flobbelob, should I say, not Mental Sun, as now Arimus looking to get ahead of Flobbelob, but he's not able to get ahead at this occasion. Raikkonen in the Williams becomes the first man to pit after lap 7. So he's going to join Mr. Tower, K9 Cube, and Silent Assassin in the club of people who have pit so far. Meanwhile, is Arimus close enough? We go on board with the Red Bull, as he's not able to make the move stick. These 3 very close, pushing each other to the absolute limit of what they can do here in Miami. As Graham Shifty now behind Bryce, looking to get back ahead into 4th. But let's see then, what does Arimus see? He sees the Aston Martin pulling away from him on the exit. What does Graham Shifty see? He also sees the Mercedes pulling away from him on the exit of the chicane complex. Floblob not able to make a move into the section. Graham Shifty is able to make a move on the straight before they even think about hitting the brakes into the next corner. Great stuff by Shifty. So he was really able to keep close enough to the Mercedes of Bryus to make his move stick. As meanwhile, here comes Floblob on Mental Sun. 20 laps to go in this race, and this battle really going good. As meanwhile, we have the Mercedes and the McLaren battling it out as well. So the top 5 really doesn't look like it's going to stay the same way for much longer. It's swapping places a lot. There's the top 3 all trying to sort out who will be in the lead by the time they make their pit stops, and these two in 4th and 5th pushing each other to the limit as well. Demonic Assassin might even get involved if he can get close enough on those medium tyres, but it looks like he ran out of battery in the first part of the race with his ERS mode. As meanwhile, Bryce gets ahead of Graham Shifty. There's a car round, and that is Arimus's teammate. So Silent Assassin has gone round at turn 1, 2 and 3, and he now heads out of turn 4. That's a shame for Silent Assassin. It looks like Silent Assassin has had a bit of lost potential in this season. Hopefully he can redeem himself next season. Meanwhile, Floblob, the man looking for a championship next season, is he going to be able to make up time here? Is he going to be able to prove himself up against Mental Sun, take the last hurrah in the season? Meanwhile, Graham Shifty goes for a late hurrah on the brakes and gets it done on Bryus as they both head into the pit lane. So who will win out in this one? Graham Shifty in the pits before the Mercedes, as Shifty in the pits, the number 19 McLaren, should I say, in the pits, and he gets held up a little bit with the Alpine, but he does come out ahead of the Mercedes by a long shot. Meanwhile, here comes Demonic Assassin out the pits. He comes out behind both of them. Lewis in the pits as well. So the strategy is starting to kick in here in Slav. This puts Luke Anarchy in a 4th place at the moment, but he's on the back foot in that 4th place, so he's going to have to pit soon. And this also puts Bernolds in 5th at the moment as well. So both Aston Martins in the top 5. And while one Aston Martin has a very peaceful drive around the track, the other one has, well, he's playing the hunter and the hunted at the moment. He's hunting down Mental Sun while being hunted by the Red Bull of Arimus, who got very close to him on the exit of the chicane. And as they blast past the Hard Rock Stadium and into the hairpin, can Arimus do what Floblob couldn't? Can he make the move and stay ahead on the exit of the hairpin? No, he can't. So the 21 Red Bull in that special white livery isn't able to make a move. Meanwhile, Mental Sun, the Pink Panther, in the on pit road, as they say in America. And let's see what he can do then. What tyres is he going on? I reckon this is a call for hard tyres. He started on the mediums, and yes, he is going onto the hard tyres. So the 88 V-Cab, the Pink Panther of the race, heading out the pit lane on the prime tyres. As meanwhile, into turn 1 for Bernolds, is he going to come out? No, he's going to come out well behind Mental Sun. Meanwhile, Shifty and Bryus, they've swapped Shifty and Bryus, they've swapped places, so I must have missed that while I was watching Arimus and Floblob battling. But yeah, Bryus is now ahead of Shifty in P6, as Arimus here not able to make a move on Floblob, just looking after his tyres and utilising the DRS. Let's look at this battle. The Aston Martin of Bernolds and Bryus in the Mercedes going ahead of the Aston Martin. Graham Shifty watching all of this, getting very interested indeed, as Bernolds, who hasn't pit yet, going up against 2 people who have pit, as Assassin gets another penalty for speeding in the pit lane round the outside, around the deck for Graham Shifty, who gets ahead of Bernolds. Nicely done there, as a penalty for Bryus. That's a shame for him. Meanwhile, I think while Silent Assassin's in the pit lane, that's probably going to put Arimus off of pitting as well, which might have hurt his strategy if that was his plan. Luke Anarchy behind Mental Sun. So Mental Sun has cleared the Sauber, and the Sauber on the hard tyres is coming into the pits on lap 12 out of 29. They'll have to pit onto medium tyres. It looks like it's going to be a two-stop strategy, because if the hard tyres, if they can only do 12 laps, then that's saying that this race is going to be a 2 pit stop race to make the quickest race time. But so I should sort the recording out. Should be good. There we go. Recording started here on lap 12. We're seeing the Aston Martin coming out of the pits. We're looking at K9 Cube coming out behind his teammate. So K9 Cube not too far away from Luke Anarchy, considering that he was, it looked like he pitted for damage very early on in the session. Meanwhile, Lewis gets overtaken by Bernolds on the run through the S's. As meanwhile, Arimus here, we're watching from the front of the Halo, and now on the offboard camera, we get to see them to battle it out, but we will later on, because here comes Luke Anarchy, who's going past Kimi Räikkönen in the Williams, and round the outside for Luke on Kimi. The Sauber ahead of the Williams, and that is a cracking move on the Kraken-sponsored Williams. Meanwhile, the Aston Martin, I thought it was battling, but no, I didn't realise the Lewis 9K, I think he's disconnected. But we have Flobolop and Arimus both in the pit lane then. That means Mental Sun leads by a long shot. Will they both come out ahead of Bryce or Graham Shifty? Let's have a look then. Heading into turn 1, as Bryce has left the session. Bryce is disconnected. That's such a shame for the Mercedes. But he's side by side with Flobolop on the exit of the pit lane, and Arimus comes out behind both of them. So Bryce is disconnected. Graham Shifty is now ahead of Arimus, and this is really going to hurt the Red Bull if he's looking to challenge Mental Sun and Flobolop. As that is a big shame, as now Mental Sun leads by 7 seconds, but on more worn tyres than Flobolop, and we know Flobolop can be a bit of a tyre whisperer, as Austria proved to us earlier in the season. But currently, there's no battles happening. It's just Bryce dropping down the order because of reliability issues with the internet connection to the race, which is such a shame for him. We have Arimus here now trying just to not get distracted by the Mercedes, and he is now focusing on that Papaya car, which is holding his bronze spot on the podium. As Bryce is back in the session, let's see when he comes back. But Bryce has now lost potentially 3 places from that, because he came out side by side with Flobolop. If he didn't disconnect, he would have probably come out right ahead of Flobolop and been a right pest to the Aston Martin. As meanwhile, we have Flobolop ahead of Graham Shifty. We have Arimus now looking to make a move on the McLaren, but he's not able to. The Papaya heading through, as Mr. Tower back in the pits, and Mr. Tower out. So after drama on the opening laps, we have Mr. Tower in the pits and out of the session, along with the man he collided with, Derek Quay, and they are the only 2 out of the race. Obviously I'm out of the race, but that's because I was commentating, I'm not driving in this race. But I will be driving in Formula Asphalt racing, and potentially Precision Racing League if that goes ahead this week as well, so keep your eyes out for that. Heading in to the section that goes around the decks of the building there, into the bus stop chicane and under the highway bridges. And Arimus here looks like he's got a good run, and when he did this last time he was able to get very close to Flobolop, and now he's able just to breeze past Graham Shifty heading into the hairpin. So similar to what Graham Shifty did to Bryce earlier on in the race, Arimus gets ahead of Graham. Excuse me. As we have Anarchy 8 seconds away from Demonic Assassin, who's been quite quiet in the race so far. He did come into the pits at the same time as Brias, as yellow flags. I think Graham Shifty might have just had a little bit of a slide or a spin, but or was that for potentially Silent Assassin? I'm not too sure why that yellow flag came out then, I have to admit. We have Demonic Assassin getting very close to the back of that Papaya McLaren car. Let's see what he can do heading into turn 11. The Alpine here, this is the closest battle on track. The only battle that's always a lock up there for Demonic Assassin. He almost went into the back of the Papaya car in front of him. Very interestingly indeed. I know you're meant to close up to your rival, but you're not meant to close up that much. As out of the race for the Mercedes out of nowhere, as Brias clips the wall on the inside of turn 11, should I say? No, turn 12. He's cut the inside wall at turn 12 and ended up stranded without a wheel on turn 13. That is such a shame for the Mercedes. He had reliability issues with that Mercedes earlier in the race in terms of the connection to the car, and that cost him time when Flobolob was coming out the pit, and now Brias clips the wall on the inside and takes himself out of the session. That is such a shame for the Mercedes, and that means that everyone on the lead lap is going to get points. So Silent Assassin isn't on the lead lap as far as I'm aware. No, he is. Is he? No, he isn't. No, he's lapped. So Silent Assassin isn't on the lead lap. So everyone on the lead lap, i.e. Canine Cube and everyone above him, they are all going to get points because it's the top 10 who get points in Formula 1. And Flobolob, well, that secures that Flobolob will be second in the championship then. Meanwhile, so yeah, such a shame for Brias. I feel for him on that one. That crash, it's almost as it's such a shame. It's similar to Bernald's crash in Australia. You know, such a strong weekend or strong session, should I say, and it ending in tears, having nothing to show for it. Hopefully next season can be the redemption for Brias. But we do have yellow flags out here in Miami. Welcome to Miami. If you're watching, we have had a couple drivers go out. I'm just going to sort the recording out for when we restart, so that it doesn't cut off. We're on lap 17 and we're going to go on board with the Red Bull in 3, 2, 1, go. So nicely done there, heading through over the line. So Arimus in P6. This has helped out Demonic Assassin somewhat, as this has also helped Luke Anarchy out. And has Luke picked yet? Let me check. I don't think he's hit yet. He has! So Luke Anarchy has been somewhat saved by this safety car, because now he finds himself in a place to take a podium. 8 places higher than he started. Incredible, I have to say so myself. But yeah, we're just waiting for everyone to catch. Oh, it's a virtual safety car. I only realised that we're back to green flag conditions here in Slav Racing, and now we're just waiting to see if Demonic Assassin can get ahead of Graham Shifty. So yeah, we have the Alpine here heading up into the hairpin corner. He's closing slightly on that McLaren, but he's not able to make a move. He's just darting to the side to get a bit of clean air and not absorb any of that turbulent heat from the McLaren. and its diffuser and its exhaust as well as the fastest lap of the race. It was Demonic Assassin, but now it's Arimus, who looks to make up for the strategy errors that have plagued him in the race so far and put him in 6th. Now he looks to try and catch up to Demonic Assassin, who in turn is trying to catch up to Graham Shifty, who in turn is also trying to catch up to the podium place, which is currently being occupied by Luke Anarchy, who got a bit wide out of that corner. Here comes the McLaren, 1, 2, 3, fly past our camera angle here. Who's going to make the move then, heading into turn 9? It looks like it's going to be Shifty on the outside, heading into turn 9, and he makes it stick on the Sauber. So, heading around, it's two Mercedes powered cars in the top 3, and it's the Ferrari powered Sauber ahead of the only Renault powered car in the race, in the name of the Renault Alpine in the yellow helmet. But is there going to be a move made? Luke Anarchy a little bit out of position compared to where he normally is, so people are just clearing him almost as if he's traffic. So Demonic Assassin gets up into P4, Shifty up into the podium for now, but if Assassin can help it, he's gonna make sure that he can get into the podium and do the Assassin boys justice. As meanwhile, Silent Assassin, who's just been lapped by that train, has now been lapped by his teammate as well. It's not been the ideal season for Silent Assassin, although he has shown moments of promise throughout. But yeah, we have Arimus here, stuck behind another slower car like he was earlier in the race, as K9 Cube and Raikkonen getting ahead of Lewis 9K, who's in the pits. As meanwhile, getting out of that corner very nicely is Arimus, and Mental Sun 18 seconds ahead of the leader, but Arimus up into 5th and pushes the Sauber down to 6th. So we went from one Sauber in the podium to now both Saubers just in the top 8, and only separated by one Aston Martin, that being Bernald's. Meanwhile, penalty-wise, let's see who has penalties. That's the wrong one. There we go. So, it looks like positions aren't going to change for penalties because the gaps aren't big enough for any of the penalties to change. There was a penalty for Bryce, and that could have affected him later on in the race if he was still in it. But he's not in it anymore, sadly, which is a shame for him. I have to say so myself. As we have Demonic Assassin looking to the inside, but not making it stick on the McLaren. So, Shifty versus Assassin, Graham versus Demonic. But Demonic heading through. Oh, he's struggling in the dirty air of that McLaren. That Renault car, that Renault Alpine, struggling behind the McLaren Mercedes. Meanwhile, the Red Bull Honda, running the Red Bull powertrain's Honda engine in the back of that car, heading down into the next corners. And these three battling for the podium with 9 laps to go. Who will come out on top as we head through on lap 21? Don't have to restart the recording. As we have Silent Assassin getting another penalty to add to his many that he has had in the race. He's had 2 speeding penalties for the pit lane, and he's also had 3 track limit penalties, all worth 9 seconds. And he's also a lap down from the leader. It's not gone the way that Silent Assassin would have wanted, but it's the way it's gone. And he looks to bounce back next season. As into the pits for Luke Anarchy, and another speeding penalty for Silent Assassin, who retires from the session. Luke Anarchy in the pits. Let's see what tyres he goes on. He started on the hards, he's crossed over to the mediums, and he pits for another set of medium tyres in that number 11 Sauber with only 8 laps to go. I'm surprised that he didn't try the softs just in case, but I can see the logic in not wanting to risk a puncture near the end of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, probably one of the last battles for the podium that we're going to get this season between Graham Shifty, Demonic Assassin, and Arimus if he gets close enough. It's 3 different engine manufacturers going up against each other. 3 very competitive drivers in the top of the midfield going at it for bronze honours in the finale here in Miami. So welcome to Miami, welcome to the podium potentially for Demonic Assassin, but he's half a second away from it, and he's also a whole McLaren behind it. Oh no, he's a whole McLaren away from it. So he's just got to make that papaya car become a part of the rearview mirror in order for him to make himself podium sitter in the race. But he also has Arimus hunting him down, so he's going to be watching his mirrors as well, doing what Flobberlob had to do earlier, play the hunter and the hunted, but rather than doing it for the lead, the Alpine is doing it for the podium place. But with 6 laps to go, meanwhile into the pits for the other Sauber of K9 Cube, going for a similar strategy to his teammate. Into the pits he comes, and he's going for, they are medium tyres again, so the number 15 Sauber onto medium tyres along with his teammate as well. Demonic Assassin has disconnected. That is such a shame for the Alpine. And Demonic Assassin is out of the running for the podium for now, with 6 laps to go in the race. I was waiting for Mental Sun to cross the line then, as I sort the recording out. Here we go. So lap 23, heading down with Arimus, hitting the brakes now, and around, just avoiding that apex at the 3rd last corner, but heading through the sweepers then. It looks like it is going to be Graham Shifty to take the crown of bronze honours in Miami in the finale of Arimus's ownership, or Arimus's league. Meanwhile, Flobberlob taking runners-up honours. Not bad for the man in number 2. He's going to look to upgrade that number next season. I do not doubt that at all. Meanwhile, the champion himself, the Pink Panther in the 88 V-Carb, he should be very impressed for the performance he's been putting on for the last 3 months here in Slav Talk Racing. Well, last 2.5 months, should I say, with 10 races in the calendar happening every week. It's been great action. Oh, and sliding there is the 88 V-Cab, who comes into the pits. So the strategy race looks like it isn't over yet, but he gets a penalty. Late race drama here as the Pink Panther gets a penalty, and now he has it all to do. He's going to pit onto the medium tyres. I'm surprised he didn't try the softs. Maybe the degradation is higher than I realised. But Flobberlob is going to come out ahead of Mental Sun. And also, they're side by side coming out of the pit lane. They nearly make contact on Flobberlob's onboard. That was very close to contact, but the Pink Panther now has a penalty, and Flobberlob has a chance to upgrade his number from number 2 up to number 1 early. As Flobberlob, looking to take a last hurrah win, all he needs to do is not drop 9 seconds away from that Pink Panther car that's directly in front of him. He's dropped out of DRS and he's on older tyres, but Mental Sun has potentially blown it all away on those medium tyres, so he is going to be able to pull away, but is it going to be enough? He only has 5 laps, or less than 5 laps now, 4.5 laps to pull about 8.5 seconds. He's set the fastest first sector anyone's done in the race so far, but if he can keep doing that, then that's good. But will it be enough? I don't know if it will. It could be, but I just don't think that he's going to be able to do it. Not with the amount of laps left, because there's only 4 laps left when he crosses the line in 3, 2, 1 now. He's pulled to 2.5 seconds, so it's a big gap already. But I just don't know if it's going to be enough. We'll have to keep watching to find out. Meanwhile, Arimas trying to close up to Ground Shifty, but not having any luck. And it looks like it is a very settled race for the last race of the season. A lot more settled than Australia was. Australia was absolute carnage. It's a shame that Mike Talent isn't here today, because him battling with Mental Sun, I really wanted to see that battle between those two. And also Wagty as well, and Waits earlier in the season. So, some great drivers who have come in and out, but it's been Mental Sun and Floblob who have done it all the way. And it's Mental Sun who has come out on top in this championship fight. Also some honourable mentions for the midfield, Bernolds as well as Raikkonen as well. Persistence does work sometimes, because Raikkonen has had a very decent campaign here in Slav Talk Racing in the Williams. Where is he? There he is. The number 2 Williams, sharing the 2007 F1 World Champion's name in this race. And although that Raikkonen didn't drive for Williams, if he did, he would probably have similar performances in this car on the real F1 grid. Also, big shout out to the Sauber drivers as well, as Mental Sun sets the fastest lap in his attempt to pull the gap. He has pulled to 5 seconds in 2 laps, so potentially it's doable for the VCAB. As meanwhile, big shout out to the Saubers then. They've been a very good team in the midfield of this league. It's been tough for them at times with their pace, but they have pulled through for some great results in the season, and some great moments in the season as well. And they went from crashing and spinning behind the safety car with Luke Anarchy to, battling with the VCAB of Silent Assassin, of Mag Thatcher, I believe it was, in Belgium. And now they're here in Miami, scoring points regularly here in Slav Talk. As it's a shame that we don't have Luko Siops and Razvan as well. They were very good for the Scuderia Ferrari team, but Lewis 9K showing up to see the Scuderia in the final moments of the season. Meanwhile, we also have Bernard in the Aston Martin. Shout out to him. He's been like Raikkonen, but he has made a decent amount of progress, and he has capitalised on some situations, lost out in others. And Australia and today as well have been very good performances, and they set him up well for next season. Also, shout out to Demonic Assassin. He's disconnected for now, but without the reliability issues, he would probably be in a decent place in the championship. He would probably be in the podium place right now, but it is G Shifty who has had him and Derek Way in McLaren as well. What a strong team they have been, being very close to each other in the top 6 consecutively. Very nice by them. Also, big shout out to Arimas and Silent Assassin. They've been a good team in Red Bull as well, and Arimas has always been in the sharp end of the field to capitalise on others' mistakes and challenge in battles, in great battles, I have to say so myself as well. 2 laps to go in the season then, here in the Autodromo International Miami Hard Rock Stadium Raceway, as we have Lewis 9K. He's under pressure from K9 Cube. 9K who's had disconnection the entire race, but he's now simply being driven through by K9 Cube in the Sauber. But the Sauber not able to make a move. 9K still hanging on in there in that red Ferrari, but the The Sauber will want to get ahead very soon, but I believe he's picking up dirty air behind that Ferrari, because although it's ghosted, it is still kicking up turbulent air from the engine of that Ferrari and throwing it at the Sauber. Meanwhile, very close between the podium battle, as Arimas has been closing very discreetly, but it looks like he's going to try and make a good attack on this podium then. Will he get it in the final race of the season as K9Q gets up into 9th? Will there be a last hurrah move in the last 2 laps of this season? Who will win in the podium battle for P3? It's Arimas or Shifty. The number 21 versus the number 19. It's a shame to see Derek Way and Bryce and Mr. Towers not finish as well. Big shame for them in the final race of the season, but they have put on a great show throughout the entire Slav Talk racing season this season as well, and it's been a pleasure to commentate on. As today is the first time commentating on a Miami race and into the podium positions for Arimas. And he does, gets ahead of the McLaren, but the McLaren comes back on the inside, heading round into the chicane, out of turn 13, into turn 14 and 15. Nicely done there by the white Red Bull of Arimas, who gets ahead of the Papaya car and looks to take his first podium here in Slav Talk Racing for this season. He's been very close on a number of occasions, I believe, but he hasn't stood on it up until now, unless Shifty can make a last minute gasp for the podium. As Arimas, who has battled with I remember him battling with I think it was a Haas in Silverstone late on in the race. I believe it was Mr. Tower. He was battling with Mr. Towers near the end of Silverstone for ages, and I think that was for potentially P6 in that particular race. But Arimas here looking to pick up his first podium in this season, and it comes at the last race. Meanwhile, Blob looks like he's going to have to settle for second this season and in this race, but hopefully we see him challenge for the big prize, the big trophy in next season's championship. As Bernald gets overtaken by Anarchy, his teammates should be proud of what has been a great runner-up season to the champion, who, despite speeding in the pit lane, has pulled the gap to over 14 seconds and now heads through the final 3 corners of his championship winning season. The Pink Panther, Mental Sun, ends the championship on a high and takes a back-to-back win. Winning in Australia, winning the championship in Australia, and now winning the final race of the season. Great stuff by Mental Sun. Flobbelob takes second and settles behind Mental Sun in this race and in the championship. The top 2 from qualifying remain as they are, and Arimas does, as Shifty goes wide. Arimas takes the podium on the final few corners and takes an incredible third place, sliding over the line is Graham Shifty to take P4. Demonic Assassin 21 seconds back, sadly enough for him, as he will come across the line in the Alpine, and through the second half of the season he has been a dark force in that Renault powered car. Over the line for him for P5. Then comes the Sauber of Luke Anarchy ahead of Bernals, who does get the points that he should have got in Australia. And now Raikkonen heading through the last few corners then. What a season it's been for Raikkonen. He hasn't had the pace, but he's had the persistence to keep himself going through the season. He goes over the line in P8. K9Q, couple seconds behind in P9, but he'll finish behind Lewis 9K because of the penalty. And that is the championship season over for Slav Talk Racing League. Nicely done there, as, yeah, I have to say, big congratulations to the Polish man, Mental Sun. And big thank you to everyone in Slav Talk Racing this season. It's been a pleasure to commentate on my first season in this league, and I hope to do it all again next season. But before I go, I have to play the national anthem to our champion and our race winner. So, here we go, as he comes onto the podium, the Pink Panther, in the name of Mental Sun, wins in Miami. Then comes the Aston Martin of Floblob, and then comes Arinas, who becomes the first Lithuanian to take a podium in Slav Talk Racing. As 3 different countries, or 3 different people from 3 different countries taking to the podium, 2 Red Bull branded cars, and 3 incredible drivers in Slav Talk Racing on the podium, along with one of the team members of the Visa Cash Out Racing Rules team. So, Mental Sun, your race winner, was also the man who had the fastest lap. Luke Anarchy was the driver of the day, mainly because he had the most overtakes, and the cleanest driver, as it has been for most of the season, I believe, is Raikkonen. Thank you all for watching this season. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate on this season, I have to say so myself, as now we hear the Polish national anthem for our last winner of the season.